I hate school and want to be a teacher. Okay, so I don't actually hate school, but I know what it's like to struggle, to feel like no matter how hard you try, you're just not good enough. Growing up being neurodivergent and having anxiety, school wasn't always a happy or safe place for me. It was stressful, confusing, and sometimes lonely. In social geography, we talk about spaces that shape our lives. Space isn't just a physical location, it's where our memories, feelings, and identities live, where a house becomes a home, or a classroom becomes a place of belonging. Or for me, anxiety. The education system often values sameness. There's an unspoken expectation that every student learns, behaves, and communicates the same way. Those who don't fit that mold are often labeled as different. But different isn't the only problem, the rigid systems are. Classrooms aren't neutral. They reflect the power, privilege, and ideas about what normal learning looks like. Classrooms were designed for neurotypical minds, rows of desks, constant noise, time test, and limited movement. Nowicki found that students with learning disabilities often face exclusion, not because of ability, but because of how differences are perceived. And Hall reminds us that exclusion is tied to the social and spatial context that we live in. So, I used to say I hate school, but that's not completely true. It's more like school never felt like a place for me. Grade 2 was the first time I realized I was different. No matter how hard I tried, I could never keep up with my peers. Something I find interesting as a future teacher is that by grade 4, teachers stopped teaching us how to read and just assume we already could. So, a word problem in math not only grades your math abilities, but also your ability to read and comprehend the information, your ability to have proper spelling and grammar when writing your answer. Is it truly fair to be grading all of these different skills on a math test? Grade 4 is also when I received my official diagnosis. A diagnosis is not easy to receive and is not accessible to so many. Recently, I've been thinking a lot more about my privilege and intersectionality, how lucky I was to have parents who fought for me to get a diagnosis and who could afford the cost of an assessment. Your intersectionality matters. Your age, race, class, and gender all affect who receives help and who doesn't. Accommodations are often seen as special treatment, but they benefit everybody. I wish I could say that the system is perfect and that every student who needs help receives it, but that's not the case yet. There is still so much work to be done, but still, in small steps, we are moving forward. Even this conversation is a small step in the right direction. There's research being done on both the under and over representation of neurodivergent students. If you want to learn more about neurodivergency or mental health in teens and young adults, or just want to watch some really great TV shows, I've listed a few recommendations at the very end of this presentation. Something I've noticed in post-secondary is how many accommodations have become completely normalized. People taking notes on laptops, wearing headphones while working, having access to lecture slides or notes, or even a digital textbook. But these same things are often things I had to fight for and made me feel different or isolated. During my placement in post-secondary, I've noticed a lot more teachers offering flexible seating, fidget tools, and movement breaks. These things not only support neurodivergent students, but also help everyone. And that's what inclusion really means. When support isn't treated as something special, it's simply just a part of how everyone learns. Social geographers like Stratford remind us that space and identity are deeply connected to educational spaces, reflect the broader system of capitalism, gender norms, and ableism. The way the classroom is organized can communicate who belongs there and who doesn't. Research by Nikawawi found that students with learning disabilities often face exclusion not only because of ability, but because of perceived differences. These dynamics are learned early through spaces and structures of schooling itself. I think I'll make a great teacher because I know what it's like to struggle, to get bad grades, or to feel invisible in a classroom that wasn't built for the way your brain works. I know that sometimes just showing up takes everything you've got, and I want to create a classroom that feels like a safe space for all my students, a place where everyone can learn in a way that works best for them. Education should be a place where disabilities are celebrated, because every learner deserves to feel like they belong. Inclusion isn't just about being let in the room, it's about being valued while you're there. So yeah, I hate school sometimes, but that's exactly why I'm going to be a great teacher.